Hey, it's Biddy Penny. Welcome to my channel. Today I have something very exciting. I have 7 things that you can do when you want to craft, but you don't really want to craft. Maybe you're not feeling creative or you don't have a specific project in mind. You just want to be in your crafty space. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is stamping it out. Now, this can be just stamping sentiments, which is a lot of what I'm going to show you here. I have these woodblock sentiments from Red Lead Paperworks, and I have all of these scraps because I love to make 5x7 cards, and I keep everything. And so I keep these scraps and I love them for sentiments and small images. And so one day I was feeling this way and I just sat down with these stamps and just stamped out a whole bunch of the sentiments. I grabbed some of my scraps and I stamped them on those as well. And it's just a really wonderful way to use what you have, use your stash, and prepare for the future. You know, you have a bunch of these stamped out. You can add them to cards, journals, whatever it is that you make. And so it's also a great way to go through your scraps, look at them differently. You can use small stamps. You can use big sheets of paper, scraps like I've done here. But yeah, grab a stamp set maybe that you've never stamped before, or grab some sentiments. Here's some other ones. My friend Barbie sent me these dresses in Happy Mail one time. And then I ended up having to go and buy the dresses because I really wanted them, but she stamped them on her scraps. And what I do like to do is store my stamped, like when I do this, and I have excess of things, I like to store my stamped images with my stamp set or my cut images with my die set. And that way, the next time I think of that set, I'll go and pull it and be happily surprised because there's something there. Or if you use more printables and things like that, you might have an ephemera folders, kind of like this one. I made this here on my channel. And it's made out of just a regular photo album, and I use patterned paper to kind of lock things in with a paper clip on the top. And I love storing my ephemera like this, especially from digital kits. So this really applies to everyone. Number 2, the second thing that you can do is maybe just get a little organized. So I recently got a lot of 500 random postcards, and I also picked up this $2 photo album. I love grabbing these at the thrift stores, especially ones like this that have that area where I can write. So if I want to put printables in it, I can write what company they're from or collection they're from, or ephemera that I've bought at a store. They're just really great. And in this case, I had bought this one, and then I got the postcards afterwards. So I just kind of went through my postcards, and I honestly had to find which ones would fit. So even though they are like supposed to be 4x6 postcards, not all of them are exact. So I have some upcoming things that I want to use these for. One is the Jelly Postcard Play, which is hosted by Carrie Griffiths. I'm going to leave that down below, but it's a July challenge. And so I wanted to get my postcards organized for that. And I think it's really great if you can maybe think of things that you may need to organize. Maybe you have printables, stamps, dies, projects, things that you could get organized. Maybe you've created one of these little ephemera holders and you need to go through and work on it. So yeah, organize and file things away. The next thing that kind of bleeds right into this is maybe you have a new stamp. Maybe you subscribe and get subscription kits. I know that there's physical items like these that you might want to organize, get together. Maybe you don't feel like making anything right now. You're not feeling really creative right now, but you can still kind of work with your supplies in a different way. So you could go on Pinterest and find ideas, on YouTube, obviously, Instagram. You can search, the specific items that you're looking to work with. Follow design teams if you like working with digitals and they have a design team. Follow design teams of companies that you like to work with, and you can just kind of specifically look for inspiration, or just sit with, like I'm doing here, with a little post-it note and sketch something out. Grab a few supplies. I grabbed an oval die, the paper pad, the stamp set, and just kind of sketch something. It's very rough. My fish looked like a pickle at first. But it doesn't matter. I'm just getting a rough idea of what I might want to create the next time I am ready to work with these supplies. And I have them all gathered together. And so that is an option. If you're a junk journaler, you can grab all of the things. I have this journal that is in the works. It's been in the works for a year. And I have all of my ephemera gathered in this basic bag. I mean, it's just a plastic beat up bag, but it holds all of my ephemera and paper and things that I had gathered that I wanted to put inside this journal. So right now, I don't feel like working on this journal, but maybe you've been kind of gathering these different pieces and they're maybe just kind of stacked in a pile that's about to become a craft-a-lanch in your craft room. Believe me, I'm not convicting anyone because I have craft-a-lanch all the time. But you could just put it in a simple bag and put it with the journal that you're working on. Just gather your supplies together. I do really love these bags right here, and I just reordered them. I do buy them on Amazon, and I love the variety pack with these different sizes. They are so handy, they're so durable, and they're such a great way to do this exact thing, to organize your supplies. I'll leave them linked for you down below. I have a couple of things that I buy on Amazon that I'm going to leave linked down below. It's for your convenience. It doesn't, you don't have to buy anything. This is really just inspiration. Another thing that you can do is sit and fussy cut. Some might feel like it should be called cussy cut, but you can sit and fussy cut, or in this case, I'm tearing some ephemera because that just works with the aesthetic of this particular printable, which is from Sweet Pea Curiosities. And I am using my thumb to protect the artwork. So you put your thumb pressure at the edge and tear with the other hand, and you won't rip up your artwork. Just a little tippy tip right there. Another thing, if you don't really feel like fussy cutting, you can do a rough cut like this. And then also, I just wanted to tell you, just because something is highly detailed doesn't mean that you have to cut it out that way. So this one, I was not going to go around all those little bitty teeny tiny edges and cut it to look like lace. I think by the time you cut it out, no one's going to know the difference. It's still going to be fabulous. And it does save time. So this piece right here, I was cutting these individually every time I found one I liked. And that just kind of takes a lot of time when you are feeling creative. Fussy cutting is not what you want to do. I think most of us can relate to that. And I think that's where some of the frustration comes with fussy cutting, because you're feeling really creative, but then you have to slow down and cut things out. So cut things out when you're not feeling creative. And maybe you'll find a place where it's actually kind of calming, which is something I've done. I used to hate fussy cutting, and now I'm not bothered by it at all. Well, maybe you do hate fussy cutting, and I support you, sister. So all I'm going to say is grab your dies if you have them and do some die cutting. This die was perfect inspiration. It had like 29 dies, little bitty things. And I think for me, sometimes I want to use it, but I don't want to die cut all those things. So die cutting in advance really works. If you don't have a die cutting machine, don't click away. Make templates, basic shapes, butterflies. This is an envelope. You can cut those out of other things. So you can still do this even if you don't have a die cutting machine. You could cut out different templates and be prepared. But if you do have a die cutting machine and you love embossing folders, these are all from my friend Desiree. Thanks, Des. You could just have a whole session of just embossing. Just sit down with your machine and your folders and a whole stack of paper, maybe experiment with different papers and emboss a bunch of stuff. I do keep this random box. It is so random. It's any leftovers that are basically like the size of a card front, but I do love to have it filled with embossed pieces as well. And right now it needs to kind of be filled up with some embossed pieces. I didn't have very many in there. All right, the next thing that I can say is that goes along with the cutting is to cut and fold. So cutting and folding doesn't really take a lot of brain power or creativity. And again, it's just one of those things that when you are feeling really creative, you may not want to stop and, cut and fold a bunch of card bases. You just want to put the cards together. So do it on a day like these days, I cut my card bases in bulk because I have a big trimmer to do that. But then I'm like all of you, then I have to sit down and actually score and fold all of my card bases. So on days when I'm not feeling creative, but I want to be in my craft room, those are the days sometimes when I just sit down and I work for an hour and suddenly I have hundreds of card bases. It's just mindless crafting. Okay, maybe you're not a card maker. I have a couple of kinds of people here. I want this video to be for everyone. I have these book pages and I am going to show you that I'm going to show you one idea, but you can take this idea and run with it. Maybe there's something that you like to fold up and put in your junk journals. Maybe you could focus on making a bunch of belly band bases or pocket bases or this little envelope, which is so easy to make. Now, I have a tip for you. Don't fold the top of your envelope at the top of the book page. Actually, turn your book pages upside down. Start, if they have a page number, that's where you want to put your pointed edge, and then you fold up the bottom. I like to leave a little gap and a little space, and then I fold over the top. And this will keep your print upright except for on the back page. And it's just what I like to do when I'm making these, but you could sit and fold and make tons of these little envelopes, and they're so fun to tuck into junk journals, and you can decorate them with any theme that you want. And look at this dirty board, this empty bottle. I have dirty scissors. This is a brand new bottle. I finally remembered to reorder my distress sprayer. But how about all of our tools? We use our tools all the time. Scissors, glue, brushes, ink. I mean, just think about all the tools, how much you handle them, and how much you care for them. And let's do the monthly maintenance. So a few years ago, I showed this on my channel, and I still do it. It's my craft studio monthly maintenance, and haven't talked about it in a while, so let's talk about it now. I have different things on my list here, like refilling things, refilling glue, ink pads, folding card bases, refilling my water brushes, refilling stamp cleaner or my water bottles, restocking foam tape and adhesive. Maybe you use an ATG gun, you could refill it, wiping down scissors and trimmers, restocking and cleaning microfiber. So right now, I knew this embossing, when I pulled out my list, I was like, oh yeah, my embossing ink pad really needs to be refilled. I remember that from the last time that I used it. So this is the time to do that. And now the next time that I need this, I will be able to just pull it off my shelf, stamp with it, and go. Again, taking these kinds of steps relieve you of like the frustrating things when you're feeling really creative. You can also make a little list for yourself of like low inventory things you want to reorder. So now I'm going to refill my most trusted and most used glue, which is Lineco PVA. I also buy this on Amazon, and I'm going to leave it linked down below. It is the most affordable professional glue that I've ever found. I've used it for 3 years straight, and it's amazing. So I have 2 different glue bottles, and I need to refill them. The one with the plastic nib that's kind of big uses the most glue, so I have to refill it the most often. I'm going to shake my glue up really, really well before I pour it in my bottle, because, you know, the big bottle sits and waits for me to refill it. Now, this little one had been refilled. See, so it's basically 2 to 1. But I'm going to go ahead. I knew it was full, but I went ahead and took the lid off, and I'm just cleaning the lid. And that way, it just keeps it clean. It keeps you from getting like goobers in the glue, which you don't want, especially with a metal tip bottle. And so I'm just cleaning off the top, and that way the next time I do need to refill it, it'll be really easy to get the lid off, and I'm just taking care of it. I'm just loving my supplies and loving my things. Now, this glue needs to be repurchased, and sooner than I need the embossing ink. So you can actually date your reorder and your low inventory list. So for the embossing ink, I put like in 6 months, I might order that. But in the glue department, I'm going to need another bottle in like a month. So I refilled filled up my distress sprayer, and now I'm going to clean my scissors. Now, obviously, y'all see me use scissors all the time. They have to cut through everything. I mean, I put these things to the test. So, you know, I grabbed my baby wipe, and I am cleaning all the glue residue, all the tape residue, all the ink, whatever is on these scissors is getting cleaned off today. And what I will tell you is to fold up. I want you to be safe. So fold up your baby wipe quite a few times when you're cleaning the blades. Just a little tip. Clean your scoring tool. Look how dirty these are. I mean, they really do need this maintenance. I'm going to be replacing these scissors soon because the screw comes loose every time I use them. I have to tighten the screw, and I'm just kind of tired of it. And Tim has come out with a new pair that is a design that I really like. So I like to use Mrs. Meyer's in my craft room because it smells good and it's a natural cleaner. But you use whatever you want. And I am going to definitely clean my scoreboard. I think it really shows the dirt where like some of these things like these scissors don't. But this scoreboard, I sprayed it to let it soak, and I actually can take this to my sink and use a brush on it. And sometimes I do because those grooves where I score can get glue in them very easily in my craft space, and that is going to affect the effectiveness and the accuracy of you scoring. So I do like to keep my scoreboard clean. But I probably don't even do it often enough. But this scoreboard, this cutter, you know, it cleans up beautifully. I've been using it nonstop for years now. It would be a good time to replace cutting blades. I am still having a hard time finding the cutting blades for this board, which makes me incredibly sad because I do love it so much. But yeah, just really clean it up. And just give everything some love. I know I spent a lot of time in this department, but I feel like it's an area that we kind of don't talk enough about in our community. Replace your microfiber bags. This one's pretty new and clean, so I'm good on that one. Another idea for you is to finish maybe a project that you've been putting off or just is really easy. You're not making anything, you're not creating anything. You're just, like for me, I had 4 little journals that I just needed to tie ribbon onto. That's it. I needed to go grab the ribbon, cut it, and tie it on. And I was reading something this week about the psychology of finishing a project and how it actually like helps our dopamine and serotonin and all the happy little hormones in our brains when we finish a project. So maybe, and I was reflecting on it for myself, if I have a bunch of unfinished projects, that could be something that's kind of creatively blocking me from starting new projects. So this is kind of more, I know, this is more a little more granola, but maybe you have some unfinished projects in your craft room that won't take a big creative endeavor, but it's just punching holes, folding paper, tying on ribbon, just the little finishing touches that you can do. And maybe by doing that, it'll help unlock your creativity, give you space, give you time, so that the next time you come in, you're going to be completely ready to go. I think we all go through these periods. I just know that we do. And one thing that I like to do is sometimes I am in a very creative space mentally, but I'm not physically. And so I keep a journal just for ideas. And this is one that I keep for YouTube ideas. So I do kind of keep the pages that are journaled on a little under wraps. But you could sit down with a journal. I have so many videos that take you from the very beginning of making a journal to the end, all in one video. That's how I like to do it. Now you'll have to sit there for an hour and a half or two, but you can watch me make many journals on this channel in one video, and you can make yourself a journal, or you can just grab a spiral notebook. It doesn't matter, but you can sit down and write out your plans, for the next month. What do you want to work on the next 6 months? What are your just like wild ideas? Sketch out some cards, sketch out some things, sketch out some stuff that you want to look up. Write down your favorite YouTubers. Make a list. I think listing is really fun, and especially when it's something like about a passion that you're really interested in. I hope this video helped you. I'll come back with more if I ever think of them, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.